And we're standing by awaiting the transfer of Oswald from city jail to county jail. And for that report, here is ABC's Bill Lord at the city jail.
Bill, what's the situation?
Well, I am presently in the basement of the Dallas Municipal Building, and it is like an armed camp. For the past half hour, scores of police have been filing past me, carrying riot guns and rifles. Police officials are frankly worried. They don't want anything to happen to Oswald. They firmly believe that he is the man who killed the president. They want to make sure he is safely transferred to the county jail and that he does stand trial and is convicted. The elevator that will bring him down from the 5th floor to the basement is just several feet away from me. When he comes through here, I will be able to see him and describe to you the scene. And that's the latest from City Hall.
Thank you, Bill. We have other remote facilities at the county jail now, awaiting the arrival of Lee Oswald from the city jail to the county jail. And for the situation there now, here is ABC's Roger Sharp reporting.
At the scene of last Friday's assassination, heavy Sunday traffic filing by along the Elm Street approach to the Triple Underpass. A crowd of several hundred Dallas citizens has gathered along the Houston Avenue side of the Dallas County Courthouse, the route of the presidential motorcade, the area where President Kennedy passed moments before the fatal shots rang out. This is a curious crowd, no obvious anger in their faces, but all possible security precautions have been taken. Policemen are stationed at every 15 feet along the entire block. This crowd, by the way, is considerably larger than the crowd that lined this very same street more than 46 hours ago when the presidential motorcade moved by. Police have blocked off the courthouse building itself. Sheriff Bill Decker, Dallas County Sheriff Bill Decker, has done everything possible to assure strict security. No one is inside the courthouse building, which houses the county jail, other than authorized personnel of the county sheriff's department, authorized federal officials, police officials, or accredited newsmen. This is the Texas School Book Depository building, directly catacorner across Elm Street from the courthouse. It was on the 6th floor of this building, from the corner window, that the assailant, the assassin, fired the fatal shots from the bolt-action 6.5 millimeter Italian rifle. From that window, the shots covered a distance of approximately 250 to 300 feet, down to the point along the Elm Street approach to the underpass where the president was shot. From inside the courthouse compound, the motor entrance to the county sheriff's office, our cameras will show the approach of the car that will carry Lee Harvey Oswald into the courthouse building. He will be housed in the jail of this building. He may possibly be in a cell that will face the assassination scene. He will be within 100 yards of where President Kennedy died. Lee Harvey Oswald will spend most likely the next couple of months in this building. He will be here through his arraignment and through his trial, which will probably come sometime in early January.
We're inside the county courthouse, which the presumed assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, is soon to enter. He'll be taken immediately to a booking room, and a very historic booking will be made. Next, into an ID room, where he'll be photographed and fingerprinted. And then representatives of the press will have their first opportunity for a real front-to-front confrontation. Now, our big television cameras can't fit in that room, but we'll shoot that on sound film, and just as soon as that's processed, you'll be able to see it. After the press has its time with Oswald, he perhaps will be given a set of prison clothing, or he may be allowed to retain his own. And then he'll be brought to a cell. It'll probably be a special cell about 10 feet by 10 feet with a steel cot, a wash basin. That's about all. there's a possibility, only a possibility, that that cell may have a window giving out on the assassination site. This is Paul Good returning you to WFAA.
And we are still standing by, awaiting on the movement of the prisoner Oswald. We still have ABC's Bill Lord on the phone from City Hall. So once again, Bill Lord, what is the situation at ABC's at the City Hall?
Well, Bob, we are waiting and waiting. It is anticipated that he will be moved because extreme precautions have been taken. As I said before, the police are worried. They are so worried they've talked about the possibility of moving him in an armored vehicle, not just the normal sheriff's vehicle. And when this arrives, we'll know that this is the cue for Mr. Oswald to be brought downstairs and transferred to the car.
Bill, what about the arm precaution down there? Are there weapons visible?
There are many weapons visible. Riot guns and rifles are on display. The officers have them in their hands. They are ready to prevent anything they possibly can. There are perhaps 200 or 300 people outside the City Hall waiting to see the transfer of Oswald.
All right, very good, Bill. Thank you very much. Bill Lord, ABC, standing by at City Hall. And now I think once again we'll go down to the county jail, and where Roger Sharp is standing by outside. Roger?
Outside of the county courthouse here, in the distance, some 300 feet from where I am standing, the area directly adjacent to the assassination point, the park area where during the past 24 hours numerous floral wreaths have been laid by various Dallas citizens and organizations. The first floral arrangement was placed early yesterday morning by a lone man, Mr. Henry Stanton, who placed the flowers there in memory of the president with a simple inscription.
Bob Walker, Wfaa-Tv, Dallas, Texas, interrupting. There's been a shooting at Dallas Police Station as Oswald was being transferred. For details, Bill Lord, ABC at City Hall. Bill.
Just 1 minute ago, they were bringing Oswald out. He had apparently changed clothes. He was just going out the door, heading towards the armored car, and there was a bang. We believe it was a shot. And apparently, what has happened to it, we do not know at the present time. Policemen rushed to the scene, attempting to ascertain what had happened. Photographers were taking pictures. Is there someone down on the floor over there? Is there someone injured down on the floor? Apparently Oswald is the word we get, but this is unconfirmed because no one can really see what has happened. There was a shot, one shot, and everyone here jumped to see what had happened. Apparently Oswald was shot by a small elderly man. An elderly man with a small revolver. Where I'm standing...
How far are you away, Bill?
I'm about 20 feet away from apparently where Oswald is. If this is Oswald down on the floor, I cannot see him. There's a bench in between me. But they are examining a man who was on the floor, and the police look very concerned at this moment. The report is that an elderly man with a small revolver. Again, I caution that this I did not see, but these are the reports. There is someone down on the floor. A detective put his hand up on his forehead, shaking it. Oh, no, this has happened. There are 2 men down, apparently, but only one shot was fired. Can we get confirmation? Is that Oswald? They saw Oswald lying on the floor. He is injured. They're taking him back upstairs now. His shirt is ripped open.
Can you tell where he was shot, Bill?
No, we cannot tell that. No, we're not sure if that was Oswald. They believe that might have been the man who did the shooting. His shirt is ripped apart. Oswald is on the floor.
At the other end of town, Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker is awaiting the arrival of his new prisoner when he gets the word that something has happened.
Sheriff Decker, this is Roger Sharp with Channel 8 and Wfaa-Tv. Yes, sir.
Well, this, no, other than what has come over your TV coverage. I understand that he and a police officer both have been shot.
Oh, there too?
Yeah, and their report is also that it's a man in a black hat. That's all the information we have.
Black hat?
Black hat. That's all.
Elderly man?
Don't know. I couldn't tell you. So this man, whoever's got the TV coverage here, will have more than I will because it's coming direct right over the TV. Live from the scene.
All right. Bill, on who's custody?
Still at the city. It's never been, he has not been delivered to me yet.
He's still at one of the city. Where at the city hall is it happening?
In the basement, I understand.
Are they bringing the party?
They bring all prisoners down from the... Yeah, they're...
Jail down in that little room in the basement, right?
They're now loading him in and loading him in an ambulance up there, so the TV man said just a minute ago.
I understand, Roger, that the ambulance is going to be coming down Elm Street over there. In the meantime, why don't we talk...
It'll come Elm.
Down
It'll come Main. If the ambulance comes Main, it'll make a right turn here and go that way.
All right.
More caution and protection has been used for this man than anything had ever been seen in the city of Dallas, probably more than had been used to protect the President of the United States. In fact, Dallas City Hall is normally a public building, but today it was really under armed guard.
Jack.
Is this a confirmed report as to who did the shooting?
As far as I know, I just got it from Vic Robertson.
Vic Robertson from City Hall reports that Jack Ruby, the owner of the Carousel, which is a bar in Dallas, did the shooting. That's a report from City Hall. Evidently a report taken from that statement that Police Chief Jess Curry was just to give. But Jack Ruby, owner of the Carousel in Dallas, reportedly did the shooting. Repeating and bringing you up to date at approximately 20 minutes past 11 o'clock this morning as Lee Oswald was being moved from the City Hall, from Dallas City Jail to the County Jail. He had just passed ABC's Bill Lord, flanked by policemen. The moment he went out of Lord's sight, a shot rang out. Oswald slumped to the ground, and about that time, police grabbed a man, now identified as Jack Ruby of Dallas, ushered him by. Oswald, meanwhile, lying prostrate on the ground, clutching his left side. Oswald then was placed in an ambulance and sped out to Parkland Hospital. And so far we have no report on his condition from Parkland Hospital. But we do have word that Jack Ruby, the owner of the Carousel in Dallas, was the person who shot Lee Oswald, the man who assassinated President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. There was some talk this morning of taking him in an armored car from the City Hall to the county jail. Whether that was to have been accomplished, we don't know. Bill Lord did not say anything about an armored car, except that he did hear this morning that it had to be carried in a sheriff's vehicle because he was going to the sheriff's jail. However, we do not know if that was to take place because Oswald never did get in the car. He was taken in an ambulance. He has been shot. A wild scene, of course, developed in the basement of the City Hall. At one point, detectives and police officers trying to get the wounded Oswald back into the booking office jammed themselves in the doorway and got stuck. Oswald was dressed in a pair of black trousers, a tan shirt, and black sweater. Oswald made no sound. He fell to the floor, clutching his side below the rib cage. It was not immediately known who the man was. We do have later information that it was Jack Ruby of the Carousel Bar in Dallas. Prior to bringing Oswald to the basement, police, using flashlights, searched the entire area of the basement. Officers with riot guns and rifles were posted throughout the basement area. A one-way drive from the street level to the basement and out the other side of the big square building in downtown Dallas was guarded at each end by uniformed officers. All persons entering the basement area were presumably checked and cleared by the police. All newsmen had been required to show credentials before being allowed into the basement area. In the excitement, with officers running around the basement, Small man was hustled into the prison elevator and taken upstairs. Oswald's head wobbled back and forth as the stretcher was slid into the ambulance. An armored car was blocking the way of the ambulance, and it had to be moved. One shot was fired. The shot could be heard plainly. In fact, you may have heard it. I heard it over the telephone. Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker says he understands a police officer has been shot too, possibly by the same bullet that did strike Oswald. Oswald was the only wounded person, however, brought to the emergency ward at Parkland Hospital. And Police Lieutenant George Butler has identified the man that did the shooting as Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner. And that's all that we have. That should bring you fairly much up to date. Oswald, repeating, was shot, was put on a litter, was holding his left side. An ambulance apparently had been standing by in case of emergency. It was rushed up, and Oswald put into it, taken to Parkland Hospital. He was going in the very emergency entrance out there where the body of President Kennedy was taken earlier and where the president died. An amazing thing that has happened in Dallas this morning. Lee Oswald has been shot. How seriously, we do not know. But he's been taken to Parkland Hospital. Repeating details as we have them. He was shot in the City Hall, in the police station. Supposedly, everybody had been cleared, and supposedly the area was fairly well checked. Dallas police had set up stringent security measures for Oswald's transfer. Of course, the transfer had been announced beforehand to the public, and the time the public was given was 10 o'clock this morning. The actual transfer took place an hour and 20 minutes later. Prior to bringing Oswald to the basement, police using flashlights had searched the entire basement area. Officers with riot guns and rifles were posted throughout the basement area. A one-way drive from the street level to the basement and out the other side was guarded at each end by uniformed police officers. All persons entering the basement area, presumably, had been checked and cleared by the police. All newsmen had been required to show credentials before being allowed into the basement area. In the excitement, with officers rushing around the basement, the man was hustled into the prison elevator and taken upstairs. Oswald's head wobbled back and forth as the stretcher was slid onto the ambulance. An armored car was blocking the way of the ambulance, and it had to be moved. And as far as we can ascertain, only one shot has been fired. Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker says he understands a police officer has been shot, possibly by the same bullet that struck Oswald. However, Oswald was the only wounded person. Yes. Walker. I'm on the network feed now. What? Bob Walker, Wfaa-Tv Dallas, with further details on the shooting of Lee Oswald. Police have now picked up Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner. They have identified him as the man that did the shooting. Reconstructing the scene for you best as we can. Oswald was just being taken down by our ABC man, Bill Lord, who was there on telephone at the time. Was going to be placed in an armored car. Definitely now that's been established. An armored car had to be moved before Oswald was taken to the hospital. He had just passed Bill Lord and had turned away from Lord's vision when one shot rang out. Then there was mass confusion for from 10 to 15 minutes. When the scene had cleared, an elderly man had been apprehended by police, taken upstairs in the elevator. Oswald had grabbed his side and had fallen to the floor, uttering a gasp, bleeding profusely from below the left rib cage. Oswald, it was clearly known then, had been shot, and what Dallas police had feared most had occurred. The most stringent security measures had been taken. had been taken to get Oswald from the city jail to the county jail. In fact, last night there was some speculation as to whether he would be moved at all, but they decided to move him. They made a public announcement that he would be moved at 10 o'clock this morning. It occurred at 11:20 this morning, about an hour and 20 minutes late. But sometime things do not happen. Here is Jim Davidson, ABC News cameraman, who was there when the shooting occurred. Jim, describe what happened.
The transfer was occurring late. There were a number of officers around. There seemed to be unusual security precautions. At the last minute, they moved all of the cameramen outside the area, except for two of us, and we moved back instead of out to the driveway. I made the shot of Oswald coming out of the elevator through the grill work in the sergeant's office, followed him as far as I could, then moved to the glass doorways, and was shooting at the back of the officers surrounding him as they carried him toward moved him toward the car. At that time, a shot rang out. I suppose I was within 10 feet of the man. My camera was rolling, and I was rolling. The officers immediately grouped around Oswald and grouped around somebody else. It was a scuffle. Guns were drawn, and they rushed the man they captured and Oswald back into this office on the basement of the city hall. We backed up into the thing, and I shot through the grill work. I could not see Oswald, but he was surrounded by officers.
Who shot him?
Man in a black hat. Man in a black hat. Police officer.
Oh, a police officer shot him.
No, a man in a black hat shot him. He also shot a policeman.
Shot a policeman, too? Well, he didn't mean probably to... Probably didn't intend to shoot the policeman, did they? It's on account of the...
That's right.
Where's he now? Hospital?
He's taken to hospital. No one knows right now.
They won't come this direction, will they? No.
There was a possibility they would, but they...
Were they ready to bring him down here?
Yeah. We're outside of the courthouse where a crowd of several hundred had gathered, awaiting the arrival of Lee Harvey Oswald. 10 blocks away at City Hall, that arrival stopped by apparently a bullet. This crowd, when word flashed through the crowd that Oswald had been shot, broke out into a cheer. The crowd has been dispersing for the past 5 minutes, many of them just getting the news. What's your reaction to hearing that suspect Oswald has been shot down?
Well, I can't hardly say what right now, but I think that people wanted a quick decision on his execution and get him put away.
You think that was the right justice for him?
Well, I think he should have been tried, but people sometimes take the law in their own hand on a thing like this.
Young man, how do you feel about it?
Well, I don't think anything can be too bad for him, and maybe trial wouldn't have done anything different. He would have been shot anyway.
What about you, Gammon?
Well, maybe the Lord wanted it this way, and maybe he didn't. Maybe this is the best thing for him, I guess. Maybe it's not. It's my opinion.
Ma'am, how do you feel about the shooting of Oswald?
Well, I just feel like this is too good for him. I think he should have had a trial. And I think he should have suffered more than what he has suffered now. And longer.
Were you drawn out here today by the prospect of getting a good look at him? Was that why you were here?
No, we just came down to see where the president was shot.
How do you feel about it now?
Well, I'm just real sad.
Sir, what is your reaction to what has happened this morning at City Hall?
Well, I think he got what he deserved if he's the one that did it.
Had you come down here to see him yourself?
No, I'm waiting for a train at 1 o'clock, and I just happened to stroll down to see the scene of the accident. I've walked down through here many times up from Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you very much, sir. As you can see, a crowd genuinely not very sorry that Oswald has been the victim of an assassin himself. The crowd here agreeing that there should have been a trial, but apparently there is a sentiment, as evidenced by the cheer that did ring out when the word was flashed. The scene here of anticipation has quieted now, and the scene is much different. This is Roger Sharp on Houston Street, directly opposite the Dallas County Courthouse.
Hey, officer, officer. Yeah, he's got to be here. There he is. There he is. Here he comes.
Now the prisoner wearing the
white sweater is changed from his t-shirt. Officer, triangle
Policemen rushed to the scene, attempting to ascertain what had happened. The photographers were taking pictures. Is there someone down on the floor over there? Is there someone injured down on the floor?
Apparently, Oswald.
Apparently Oswald is the word we get, but this is unconfirmed because no one can really see what has happened. There was a shot. One. Oswald is. If this is Oswald down on the floor, I cannot see him. There's a bench in between me, but they are exactly involved. Again, I caution that this I did not see, but these are the reports. There is someone down on the floor. A detective put his hand up on his forehead, shaking it. Oh, no, this has happened. They saw Oswald lying on the floor. He is injured. They're taking him back upstairs now. His shirt is ripped open.
That's not Oswald.
No, we cannot tell that.
That apparently is the man who did the shooting.
No, we're not sure if that was
still someone else laying on the floor.
It may have been the man who warned. Is that Oswald on the shirt? Is ripped apart.
He's bleeding. He is shot. He is shot. Oswald is shot.
It is Oswald. Can you see any evidence of the wound?
How serious is the injury? Now 11:24 here in Dallas.
Being wheeled out. He was shot in the lower left side.
Apparently looks like he was shot in the lower left side. He's being put in a police ambulance. Going in the ambulance now. And if they feared anything, they certainly didn't fear their way. Yes, they were worried, so worried about it.
This is the spot where Oswald's body was brought in to the inside of the police department in the basement. He was brought back in here after being...
I'm rolling.
This is a pan from the door leading out into the basement parking lot down to the spot where he was brought.
Play this little ball in and want to get a television there.
About the man that was carried upstairs. Was that the man that shot the man, or do you know?
That is the man that shot the man.
Did anybody know who he was? Was he recognized?
I don't have his name at the present time.
Did you recognize him as somebody that's been around here this weekend waiting?
I didn't recognize him. I didn't see him well enough.
Was Oswald the only man who was shot?
As far as we know, he's the only man shot.
Only one shot fired?
Only one shot fired to my knowledge.
Could you tell what kind of gun it was?
No, they do have the weapon, but I didn't see the weapon.
This is the exit where Oswald came out, but he did not come out the way police had intended him. The armored car was to have come through here, taking Oswald to the county jail. When the shot occurred and an ambulance arrived, he was taken out here and driven to the hospital. There were about 200 people on hand at the time. The crowd has grown now, wanting to see just what had happened. Did you hear the shooting?
I heard a shot.
What do you feel about this?
Oh, terrible.
Do you all feel bad about this?
Very, very bad.
The police wanted to make sure this man got a fair trial.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened.
We're sorry that he wasn't tried.
Well, apparently he is injured, and they've taken him to the hospital.
We hope he lives where he can be tried and brought to justice.
Apparently a small man, an elderly man, came down with a small pistol.
We heard a shot.
You heard the shot?
Yeah, we heard the shot.
What happened out here after you heard the shot?
Well, we heard the shot, and then they pulled the armored car away. And when they pulled the armored car away, why, everybody started running, and then all of a sudden this ambulance must have gone out another entrance because we could see it up the street there. And everyone said, well, he must have been shot. And they started running to this building. I'm from out of town. I'm from Ohio. And we started running to this building here. We thought he was coming out this building here. So he has been shot. I just found out.
How bad is he injured?
This way? Did you hear the shot?
Oh,
no, sir, I didn't hear.
You heard the shot?
I sure did, yeah.
How do you feel about this?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Apparently Oswald was shot.
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Did anyone else hear the shot?
I heard it. I did.
I heard it and I told him, I said, I bet he got shot.
And he did. How do you feel about this?
I don't know. I hadn't reacted yet. I just don't know.
The Assistant Administrator, Stephen T. Landrigan, is about to make a new statement on the current condition of Lee Oswald.
All right, gentlemen, I have a statement.
Mr. Landrigan.
He can make it. Dr. Tom Shires has sent word down that the patient, Mr. Oswald, has a massive injury to the abdomen with major vessel injury. Bleeding has been controlled. However, the patient developed a cardiac arrest and is now undergoing open chest cardiac massage. Let me elaborate. A cardiac arrest means a spontaneous stopping of the heart. The chest was then opened, and the surgeons are at the present time with their hands massaging the patient's heart to try to restore a normal heartbeat. Is he alive, Doctor?
No.
Let Dr. Shires make his statement, please.
When did he die, Doctor?
He died at 1:07 our time, 13:07, of his gunshot wound. Would you like to ask questions or what? Yeah, Mr. Oswald died at 1:07 our time in the operating room of the gunshot wound which he had received.
Would you describe his last moments on the operating table, please?
The last moments were rather hectic. He had a cardiac arrest from all the massive blood loss, the massive injury. The last few minutes were spent in cardiac resuscitation, open heart massage, electrical defibrillation, internal defibrillation, and finally there were absolutely no signs of life at all, fixed dilated pupils and all the signs of death.
How many surgeons were working on him at the time?
There were 4 actually operating scrubbed at the same time, besides the others.
How long after the cardiac arrest did he die?
I don't really know. I imagine 20 or 30 minutes.
Did he ever talk to you or say anything?
No, he never regained consciousness at all. In fact, before surgery, we had no blood pressure, a few agonal respiratory efforts, and that was all. During the operation, once we got control of the major vessels, the aorta, the vena cava, the kidney injury, we had a blood pressure for a time, but then we had the cardiac arrest, which was obviously incident to massive blood loss, the anoxia that had occurred. This was, again, a fatal wound that he received.